Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on my video. This is Rocky and this review will be for the Season 3 mid-season finale of Arrow. Had a lot of big things happen in this episode, a couple big reveals as well. So I'm kind of just going to talk about a few of my top moments, some of the smaller ones, and then dive right into basically the meat of the episode that I really enjoyed. So one of the scenes that I enjoyed were the interactions between Ray and Felicity, as we do get a little bit of resolution to the kiss shared between them and get an explanation of Ray Palmer's reaction to that kiss. Now apparently he had a fiance named Anna. It's a little bit different than in the comics. In the comics he had a girlfriend named Jean. I don't recall an Anna ever in relation to his character. But we get the information that during Slade's basically attack on the city, Ray and his fiancée were attacked by one of Slade's men. And basically they beat the crap out of Ray. He couldn't stop them. They broke his leg. And he basically witnessed his fiancée having her neck snapped. So this just, kind of leads to him revealing to Felicity after she, kind of digs at him a bit to find out why he purchased Queen Consolidated and the real reason why, and he reveals to her that he wanted basically the technology they were building based on OMAC that we saw referenced earlier with missile systems and drones and things like that. He wanted to take that and basically work on compressing it into one basically weapons system, which he's dubbed, obviously the ATOM or Atom suit. That he shows Felicity, and from the way he's describing it, it sounds almost like an Iron Man type suit. I mean, I'm saying that hesitantly because I doubt they're going to really go exactly like that, but again, this is on Arrow, so they do deal with more tech-based heroes and villains as opposed to people with, metahuman abilities like that would be on The Flash. So maybe in this case, the hunk of the dwarf star is basically going to be used as a power source for the suit. But I really hope they don't try and do something similar to Iron Man, as that will, upset quite a few people, me including, as it's a big stray away from his powers. So, we don't know exactly yet. They kind of just vaguely describe what he's thinking of doing with the suit, but he does fully admit that he wants to use it to basically help protect the city. So once again, Felicity is being asked by someone that wants to save the city for help. She just has this, knack for running into closet heroes, basically. So we get that, with their relationship. I'm not too keen on a romantic relationship between two characters, at least how they've handled it so far. They've kind of been rushing it a bit. So I'm hoping they kind of go back from that a little bit and make them more friends. And essentially it seems like Felicity is kind of going to be that bridge between Ray Palmer and Team Arrow. And hopefully, eventually we'll get them all together. If not by the end of this season, probably early next season. We also do get a couple scenes with Oliver and Thea, where Oliver's kind of trying to get some information from her, but through those scenes we definitely get the feeling that, of how much Oliver loves his sister and wants to protect her. But when he confronts her as the Arrow, he also learns that she has not been telling him the truth. Granted, he hasn't told her the truth yet either, at least not all of it. So they both have secrets, and she's definitely very protective of Merlin. Now, I did find it slightly interesting in the scene that, when he busts through the window's Arrow, she, throws glass at him and, hits him a few times, doesn't seem to faze him. And then, she makes a comment about leaving her and her father alone and basically jumps off the balcony. And I thought they had some sort of like penthouse kind of a building. So I'm wondering, where the heck was she going? Maybe she had some rope there hidden that she was grabbing. I don't know. It just kind of threw me off a little bit, like, okay, Thea's jumping over a building. But they were very emotional scenes. There was a lot of emotion in this episode, but we get that, core of Oliver's character is family and protecting. That's, kind of where we're at with him right now. Speaking of family, we also get Laurel's mom coming to town as basically a surprise gift for her from her father. And, Laurel is, taken aback by this. And, her mom asks about Sara. And, her and her father kind of played off that, she's off somewhere, backpacking. Granted, of course, Laurel still has that secret that she hasn't told anyone. And her mom picks up on this naturally with her motherly instincts, of course. And, Laurel finally admits to someone in her family that, that Sara's dead. And it hits her mom very hard because this is basically the second time she's had to deal with losing Sara. And, Laurel, lets her know that she hasn't told her father yet because she doesn't believe he would survive the news. And her mom kind of agrees with this. And her mom also agrees with Laurel's, drive for revenge and to make the person that did this pay. The lines there between the two kind of seemed a little bit forced in a couple spots when they were talking about the getting revenge and things like that. And that kind of just goes back to what I've been saying about Laurel. Is they've kind of, this season they've been really pushing her into that Black Canary role, and the way they've been handling some of the writing with her, it's been a little touch and go. But I'm gonna be stay faithful to the series and hope that we're gonna get that payoff, because they've been doing a great job with the writing so far in this series. But yeah, like I said, the scenes there just seemed a little bit forced to me. So now let's go ahead and get into basically what the main part of the episode was about, which revolved around the revelation of Sara's killer. So we get the information back from Star Labs, and basically, it's comes back as like 99 point some odd % that it was Oliver that killed Sara, or at least Oliver's DNA that's on the arrow that killed her, or the arrows that killed her. Naturally, we know Oliver did not do this, and Team Arrow's all behind him, and they make the guess that it was Malcolm that set him up. Malcolm's the one that he's protecting right now from the League of Assassins. But they dig deeper into it, and they find out that Malcolm did come back the basically night before Sara died, but he wasn't alone. Through some nice Arrow interrogation tactics, they get a video actually revealing that Thea came back with him. Now in the video, Thea does not look like she's all there. This gets explained later, of course, as Malcolm and Oliver have a confrontation, and Oliver is very close to basically snapping Malcolm's neck and just taking him out right there. And of course, Malcolm plays it off as cool as can be. I mean, John Barrowman, like I've said before, brilliant actor. But he always has a plan. Malcolm has contingency upon contingency. In this case, he shows Oliver a video of Thea killing Sara. Now, this really struck me as out of nowhere, because I did not think they would have Thea be the killer. I didn't think they'd have Malcolm be the killer either. They seemed too obvious. Like I said, my original theories were that it was Ra's al Ghul that did it himself, or he hired another assassin to basically take Sara out, due to the fact that he didn't believe Sara was actually a part of the League, kind of thing. But yeah, we get that revelation that it was Thea that killed Sara, but it wasn't really Thea. She was essentially more or less brainwashed at the time due to this plant that Malcolm describes that basically makes someone highly susceptible to suggestion with zero memory. So he basically turned Thea into his personal assassin. And, the reason he did this is, again, contingency upon contingency, is to put Oliver in a spot where, Oliver basically has to say that he's the one that killed Sara to protect his sister. Now, Malcolm reveals what this does is it allows Oliver to challenge Ra's to a duel, basically. And if Oliver wins, it basically wipes out all blood debts that are owed to Roz, including Malcolm. So his plan is he wants to get rid of that blood debt. Now, the other side of this is that he realizes if Oliver loses, well, then he doesn't have to deal with Oliver, aka the Arrow, anymore. So, he's thought this through, and man, like I said, it kind of hit me off guard because I did not think they would play that route. As I was pretty confident that they were going to have, a scene where Thea has to kill, and it is being kind of a defining moment for her character, and I was picturing it being either that she had to kill Roy or Oliver as the Arrow, but, in this case, I was wrong. I had to admit to my wife she was right, because she called it from the very beginning of the season when Sara died. She called that Thea did it. So, I definitely had to give some props to my wife on that one. But, we get a sense of how important the situation is, as, Roz basically gets his daughter, Nissa, to go to the city, basically to tell Oliver he has essentially 48 hours to deliver the killer, or they are going to basically wipe out the city until they find the killer. During this time, we actually get to see Maceo as well, and find out, he's still around and kicking in present time, as he's the character in the flashbacks with Oliver. But yeah, we get that, sense of importance that the whole thing is very important to Roz. Now, makes me think there's something else going on behind the scenes. I was originally thinking they're going to go to somewhere around the heir to the demon story arc in Batman, but it doesn't seem they were going that route. Essentially, Oliver realizes what he has to do, so he works on basically closing and, letting everyone know his feelings and things like that, kind of wrapping up his affairs, essentially. And, the League, Roz calls him out on it, basically, as well as Maceo and Nissa, that, they call him out on it, basically BS, that they know he didn't kill Sara. They're very excellent judges of characters, and, they basically tell that he's essentially lying to them. But, he's put himself in that position, so they have no choice but to, follow through on everything that he's requesting. So again, back to his wrapping up of affairs, you get a lot of scenes, closure scenes with him and Team Arrow, basically where they all try and tell him, not to do this, that, this isn't the way to go, and he's basically like, this is what I have to do to protect my sister. So, he leaves to Roy to protect Thea, and, he has his moment with Ghul along with Roy, and then he has his private moment with Felicity where he reveals, essentially the two things he knows for sure, one of them being that, he'd do anything to protect his sister, and the other being that, he loves Felicity, and basically leaves at that. So this takes us to the scene of the climb that we've been seeing throughout the episode. And, we see him climbing a mountain, basically freehand. Didn't know he had those skills, but, he definitely rocked that mountain, it appeared, and got to the top. And this is basically where he's having his duel with Roz. And there were a lot of interesting things that happened in the earlier discussions. One of them being that, Roz stated that it had been like 67 years since the last time he was challenged. Remember that. I'm going to bring that back up in a little bit. But yeah, so we get to the duel. And, they have, Oliver has to go shirtless. So, I'm sure a lot of the fans out there appreciated seeing Stephen Amell shirtless again. He even did the pec pump there. So I'm sure that got a few shouts. But we get, some moments between Oliver and Maceo where basically he's stating that, he's no longer Maceo. He's, Sarab now, and Maceo's basically dead due to what happened in the past. But, we get the conversations, and he's basically implying that, he doesn't want to see Oliver die. He doesn't wish harm to come to him. And basically says, this is your last opportunity to get out of this, kind of. And, at this point, Oliver's fully committed because he actually thinks he has a chance against Roz. But, he gets to choose his weapon, And, you know, we see that Roz has no weapon. And, you know, Oliver kind of comments on this. And, you know, again, he kind of has that little bit of honor to him, a little bit of humanity now that he's kind of building up. And, you know, Roz basically offhandedly says, you know, I'm just going to take your weapons when you're done with them. And he, you know, he fulfills that as he does take Oliver's weapons from him, and just proceeds to tactfully and very efficiently wipe out Oliver. I mean, Oliver's had some really close fights, some really good fights. We've never seen him get handled like this before. I mean, it was literally like watching an adult fight a child. I mean, Roz just decimates. He plays with Oliver a little bit. I mean, there were several times where he could have taken him out, and he didn't, because he was trying to basically prove a point. But he does have that respect for Oliver. I mean, we get that towards the end of the fight where, you know, he says basically a little prayer for Oliver, and, you know, proceeds to essentially gut him through with a blade and kick him off a mountain. So we're left with, you know, a few cliffhangers on this episode, including back in the Hong Kong flashback. Back in Hong Kong, we have where Maceo and Oliver return to Maceo's house that's been, you know, completely destroyed, or, you know, very much wrecked by China White fighting Tatsu. And, you know, Maceo's son thankfully is all right, but he says that his mother was taken away. So we have that cliffhanger in the flashback. And then we have, you know, the cliffhanger now of, you know, what's going to happen with Oliver. He's, you know, it essentially looks like he's dead, right? So those are the cliffhangers we're left on. Now, what I was talking about earlier when Roz mentioned that it had been like 67 years since his last challenge, he obviously doesn't look, you know, that old. So this definitely heavily implies we're going to see some form of the Lazarus pits within Arrow. Now, for those that don't know, the Lazarus pits were basically Ra's al Ghul's way of continually surviving, as he was very old in the comics, and he could come back from even death with these pits. They're spread all throughout the world. Essentially, it's kind of like a chemical bath that he would go in, and it would completely regenerate his body, give him back his youth. Like I said, could even bring back the dead. I mean, it's very powerful, essentially writer's tool within the Batman comics that he appears in. So, what does this mean for Arrow? Now, here's kind of my little gripe when it comes to shows like this, kind of leaving a cliffhanger on their main character dying. We obviously know the show is going to continue, so they're not going to kill off Oliver. So we know he's going to come back. So it kind of reduces some of that impact, but there still is that dramatic impact just from the scene itself. But yeah, so unless we're looking at, you know, a Joss Whedon show, we kind of know our lead characters are going to survive, more or less. So what does this imply? Basically, what I'm thinking is going to happen is for a good chunk of the second half of the season, we're not really going to see a whole lot of Oliver. We're going to see probably glimpses of him as basically whatever form this Lazarus pit is, you know, taking within the Arrow universe is what's going to be used to bring him back, is what I think. It's just a matter of who's going to facilitate this happening. Is it going to be Maceo helping out Oliver? Is it going to be Roz doing it for some reason? Or a long shot theory of mine is that it's going to be Tatsu, because we did hear that she is supposed to be alive in present time and taking on the Katana persona from the comics. So is she around? Is she the one that's going to help Oliver and bring him back? I don't know who's going to do it, but either way, I'm pretty sure we're going to see that Lazarus pit, whether it's an actual Lazarus pit chemical bath or some type of chemical injection or something that's used. We're going to see some form of that used to bring Oliver back. I'm pretty confident on that. What does this mean for Starling City? There's basically going to be a gap right there that needs to get filled. So we're going to see Roy step up as the Arsenal, having to do a lot more work. Diggle, of course, backing him up. Then we've got Felicity. You know, she's going to be probably bouncing between Team Arrow or Team Arsenal, if, you know, we want to start calling them that, and Ray Palmer. So, like I said, by the end of the season, we'll probably definitely see Ray Palmer working alongside Team Arrow. Then we've got Laurel, potentially going to be taking on her Black Canary persona by the end of the season as well. And, we've got Ted Grant. Maybe he's going to be helping out Laurel as well. So we've got other characters ready to start filling that gap or that void with Oliver gone. Now, what does this mean? The League is still going to go after Starling City? I'm pretty sure, because they know that Oliver was not the one that killed Sara. So they're going to be going after Malcolm. And, of course, Thea is going to be thrown in that mix as well. So, we've got a lot of big things that are going to be happening in the second half. Eventually Oliver's going to come back. I believe one of the episodes in the second half is called The Return. I want to say it's like episode like 12 or 13 or something like that. So that's probably when we're going to see Oliver come back. At least it seems like it. So like I said, there's going to be that power vacuum where, some of these, street villains and things like that are going to get a little more confident without the Arrow around. But we've got other characters ready to come in and, fill that void. So, like I said, all around, I did enjoy the episode. Like I said, there were a few moments there that kind of, seemed a little off to me. But for a season so far, I definitely give Arrow a B+. Now, I'm a little bit hard on this series sometimes because I know what the writers and the actors are capable of. Now, the one thing that did stand out for the entire episode is the choreography. That's one thing that Arrow has completely excelled at almost from day one, is their fight choreography is just brilliant for a TV series. We usually don't see this much polish and crispness to the hand-to-hand combat scenes and weapon scenes and everything. So, definitely got to give them, kudos for that. But like I said, solid B+ for the season so far. Like I said in other reviews, the reason I don't give like a review rating or anything for every episode is just due to the nature of these shows where, we don't always see a full arc within an episode, so that can kind of lower a rating sometimes because you don't get that payoff. So I like to wait till about a mid-season, and then I usually give another at the end of the season. So like I said, solid B+ for the episode. Enjoying Arrow so far. Looking forward to seeing how they're going to represent the Lazarus Pits within the Arrowverse, as well as how Adam's actually going to get presented once he does have his suit. What did you guys think about the episode? Let me know down in the comments below and how you feel about Arrow so far this season. And what do you think about Thea being the killer of Sara? Like I said, me personally, kind of hit me a little bit. Didn't think they were going to play that, but, they definitely went there. So we'll see how the second half of the season goes. If you've enjoyed my video, I'd ask you to go and give me a thumbs up and share the video. And please subscribe to my channel, as I will be doing weekly reviews of the Arrow as well as the other Marvel and DC television shows when they pop back up for their second half of seasons, or any additional shows that do pop up as well. And if you have subscribed to my channel already, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on board and look forward to having some conversations with you, and definitely hope you're enjoying the videos. So all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.